I moved into the house on Miller Drive about 3 months ago. It's a quiet, suburban area with a lot of older couples and well-kept lawns. I work as a freelance data analyst, so I spend a lot of time at home. Being by myself in a 3-bedroom house felt a bit excessive at first, but the price was too good to pass up. One of the first things I did was install a full suite of smart home tech. I'm a bit of a tech nerd, and I like the idea of being able to control everything from my phone. I put smart bulbs in every room, a Nest thermostat, and a high-end Ring doorbell with motion detection. It gave me a sense of security, especially since I often work until 2 o'clock or 3 a.m. For the first few months, everything was normal. The doorbell would go off when a mailman came, or when a neighborhood cat wandered onto the porch. The routine was predictable. I finished my work, checked the locks, and head to bed around 3:15 a.m. The first incident happened on a Tuesday night. It was raining pretty hard, and I was just finishing up a spreadsheet for a client. At exactly 3:03 a.m., my phone buzzed on the desk. It was a notification from the Ring app. Person detected at your front door. I pulled up the live feed immediately. The porch was empty. I could see the rain hitting the pavement and the wind blowing the bushes, but there was nobody there. I figured the wind had just tripped the sensor. I closed the app and went back to my work. 2 nights later, it happened again. 3:03 a.m. Person detected at your front door. I checked the feed again. Still nothing. The street was completely still. I started to get a little annoyed with the hardware. I went into the settings and turned the sensitivity down, thinking maybe it was just a moth or a stray shadow. The next night, I was already in bed when the notification popped up. Again, it was 3:03 a.m. I didn't even look at the feed this time. I just turned my phone face down and went to sleep. The following Monday is when things started to feel actually off. I was in the kitchen getting a glass of water before heading upstairs. The notification triggered. I opened the live view, expecting to see the empty porch again. The porch was empty, but I noticed something in the recording. There was a faint reflection in the glass of the storm door. It looked like a sliver of light, like a phone screen glowing from somewhere inside the house. I turned around, but the living room was pitch black. I told myself it was just a glare from a street lamp. I locked the bedroom door that night, which is something I don't usually do. The next day, I called the tech support line for the camera company. I told them the AI was misidentifying motion as a person. The technician looked at my cloud history. He told me the algorithm was working perfectly. "Sir," he said, "the sensor isn't being triggered by movement on the porch. It's being triggered by a face." I asked him what he meant. He explained that the camera's facial recognition software was locking onto a high-contrast human shape. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I hung up and decided to look at the saved clips from the last 3 nights. I sat in my office and played the video from Sunday. I zoomed in on the glass of the front door. Because it was dark outside and the porch light was on, the glass acted like a mirror for whoever was inside the house. In the corner of the frame, I saw it again. It wasn't a glare. It was the reflection of a person standing at the very top of the stairs. They were just standing there, looking down at the front door. I lived alone. No one else had a key. I checked the reflection in the Monday clip. The person was closer this time. They were standing at the bottom of the stairs, right behind the entryway wall. Only half of their face was visible in the reflection of the glass. They were staring directly at the back of the camera. They weren't moving at all. I felt a wave of nausea hit me. My hand was shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. I didn't call the police right away. My brain was trying to find a logical explanation. Maybe I had been sleepwalking, but the person in the reflection was wearing a dark, hooded sweatshirt. I didn't own a sweatshirt like that. I decided I wasn't staying in the house that night. I packed a small bag and grabbed my car keys. As I was walking toward the kitchen to get to the garage, my phone buzzed in my pocket. It was 3:03 a.m. I froze in the middle of the hallway. I didn't want to look at the phone, but I couldn't stop myself. Person detected at your front door. I opened the app. The live feed showed the empty porch. Then, I saw the reflection in the glass door. The person wasn't on the stairs anymore. They were standing directly behind me in the hallway. In the reflection, I could see the glow of my own phone screen illuminating the bottom of their chin. They were standing less than a foot away. I didn't hear a single breath. I didn't turn around. I didn't scream. I just bolted. I ran through the kitchen and slammed the door to the garage, locking it behind me. I jumped into my car and hit the garage door opener. As the heavy door started to creak upward, I looked at the small window in the door leading back into the house. A face was pressed against the glass. It was a man I had never seen before. He wasn't trying to break the door down. He was just watching me with a completely blank expression. He raised a hand and waved. It was a slow, deliberate motion. I floored the car out of the driveway, scraping the bottom of my bumper on the concrete. I didn't stop until I reached a well-lit gas station 5 miles away. The police arrived at the house 20 minutes later. They did a full sweep of the property. They found the basement window had been pried open. It looked like it had been that way for weeks. In the crawl space under the stairs, they found a sleeping bag, several empty water bottles, and a small pile of my own mail. There was also a notebook. It didn't have writing in it, just a list of times. Every entry was 3:03 a.m. The man was gone by the time the police arrived. They took fingerprints, but nothing came back in the system. I never went back to that house. I broke my lease and moved into a high-rise apartment with 24-hour security and no ground floor windows. I thought I was safe until yesterday morning. I was setting up my new smart home system in the apartment. I hadn't even finished installing the cameras yet. I got an email from the security company. It was an automated summary of my account activity from the old house. The police had disconnected the hardware, but the cloud server had one final event stored in the queue. The timestamp was from 2 nights ago, long after the police had cleared the house and the locks had been changed by the landlord. I opened the file. It was a still image from a front door camera. The house was empty and dark, but there was a note taped to the inside of the glass door, facing the camera. It was a piece of my own stationery. The note said, "You moved too far away for the camera to see you." I haven't slept since I read that, because when I checked my new phone's notification log this morning, there was a system error message. Apparently, my new doorbell camera had been triggered 30 times last night, but no footage was saved. The person wasn't standing on the mat. They were standing on the other side of the door, blocking the lens from the inside. I have never been much of a tech guy. I bought my last laptop 4 years ago, used it for college, and then let it sit in my closet after I graduated. Money has been tight lately, so I decided to list it on one of those local marketplace apps. I didn't think I'd get much for it. Maybe a couple $100 to help with rent. Within 10 minutes of posting the ad, I got a notification. Someone named Rob sent me a message asking if the laptop was still available. His profile was blank. No photo, no bio, and he had joined the app that same day. Normally, that's a red flag, but they offer me the full asking price without even trying to haggle. I told them I could meet at a local Starbucks the next afternoon. It was a safe, busy spot with plenty of cameras. Rob replied almost instantly. He told me he worked long shifts and couldn't make it until after 9 p.m. He suggested a park and ride lot about 15 minutes outside of town. I hesitated. I've watched enough true crime to know that meeting in a dark parking lot is a bad idea. But the buyer was persistent. I really need it for work tomorrow morning, he wrote. I'll give you an extra $50 for the trouble of meeting me there. That extra cash was enough to make me ignore my gut feeling. I agreed to meet them at 9:30 p.m. The drive out there is quiet. The park and ride is located just off the highway, surrounded by thick woods and a few industrial warehouses. When I pulled in, the lot was almost empty. There were maybe 3 other cars parked under the flickering streetlights, all of them unoccupied. I parked near the entrance, keeping my engine running. I sent a message to Rob letting him know I had arrived. A few minutes passed. I checked my mirrors, watching a silver sedan pull into the far end of the lot. It didn't have its headlights on. The car sat there for a moment before creeping forward. It moved slowly, almost at a walking pace, before stopping 2 rows behind me. My phone buzzed. It was Rob. I see you. Stay in the car. I'm just checking the cash. I felt a slight chill. How did he know which car was mine? I hadn't told him my make or model yet. I watched the silver sedan in my rearview mirror. No one got out. The windows were tinted so dark I couldn't see the driver. I decided I'd had enough. Something felt wrong, and the $50 wasn't worth the knot forming in my stomach. I put the car in gear. Before I could pull away, another message popped up. Don't leave. Henry Parker. We have been waiting a long time for that hard drive. My heart dropped. I hadn't used my full name on the app profile. I used the name, Henry. I stared at the screen, my hand starting to shake. I realized I hadn't even told the buyer what kind of hard drive was in the laptop. I looked back at the silver sedan. The driver's door opened, but only an inch. A pale hand reached out and rested on top of the door frame. I didn't wait any longer. I floored it, peeling out of the parking lot and heading straight for the highway. I kept checking my mirrors, expecting the silver car to roar up behind me. It didn't. It just sat there in the dark. When I got home, I locked every door and window. I went straight to the closet and grabbed the old laptop, intending to wipe the data and factory reset it immediately. I booted it up. The screen flickered to life, showing the old desktop wallpaper I hadn't seen in years. I went to the File Explorer to start deleting my old college essays and photos. That's when I noticed a folder I didn't recognize. It was hidden deep within the System 32 directory. The folder was simply titled Rob. I opened it. Inside were thousands of text files, each one named with a different date. The dates started from the day I bought the laptop 4 years ago. I opened the most recent file. It was a time-stamped list of GPS coordinates. The coordinates weren't from the laptop. They were from my current phone. I scrolled through the list. Every place I had been in the last 3 weeks was recorded. My workplace, my parents' house, the gym, and my apartment. There was a separate file titled Audio. I clicked it. The most recent recording was from 10 minutes ago. I heard the sound of my own car engine, the blinker clicking, and then my own heavy breathing as I sat in the park and ride. The laptop hadn't been sitting in my closet. It had been remotely turned on, using my home Wi-Fi to sync with my phone and record my life. I realized then that the buyer wasn't someone who wanted to use laptop. They were someone who had installed something on it before I ever bought it. I heard a soft thud from my front porch. Then, the sound of a key sliding into the deadbolt. I didn't stay to see who it was. I grabbed my car keys, ran out the back door, and didn't stop driving until I reached the police station. The police searched my apartment, but they found no one. There were no signs of forced entry, and my spare key was still hidden under the planter. The laptop was gone. They had taken it and left everything else, including my wallet and a stack of cash on the kitchen counter. The police told me it was likely a sophisticated stalking case, but they had no leads. Rob's account had been deleted. I moved to a different city a month later. I bought a brand new computer, and I never sell anything on marketplace apps anymore. I thought I was safe until yesterday, when I received a notification on my new phone. It was an anonymous airdrop request. I declined it, but a second later, a photo appeared on my screen anyway. It was a picture of me, taken from behind, sitting at my new desk in my new apartment. The caption under the photo was just one sentence. "You forgot to delete the backup." I live in a small, two-story house in a quiet suburb of Ohio. It's the kind of neighborhood where nothing ever happens. Most of my neighbors are retirees who spend their days obsessing over their lawns. I work from home as a freelance data analyst. It's a boring job, but it pays the bills and allows me to stay in my pajamas most of the day. Because I'm on my own schedule, I often stay up late, working under the glow of a single desk lamp. It was a Tuesday night, around 11:45 p.m. The house was silent, save for the occasional hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I was finishing up a spreadsheet when my phone buzzed on the desk. It was a text message from a number I didn't recognize. The area code was local, though. "Hey, are you almost home?" The front door was unlocked when I got back from the store. I could have sworn I locked it. I stared at the screen for a second. Clearly, someone had the wrong number. I started to type back a quick "sorry, wrong person," but before I could hit send, my phone buzzed again. This time, it was a voice note. It was 6 seconds long. I clicked play. I heard the sound of heavy breathing and the faint rustle of clothing. Then, a woman's whisper, sharp and panicked. "Mark, if this is a joke, it's not funny. The basement light is on. Please call me." I felt a slight prickle of unease, mostly for the woman. She sounded genuinely scared. I figured I should let her know immediately that her husband wasn't getting these messages. I typed, "Hey, I think you have the wrong number. I'm not Mark. I hope everything is okay." I put the phone down and tried to go back to my work. A minute passed. Then, another voice note arrived. This one was longer, 15 seconds. "Mark, stop it. I see you. I see your shadow under the laundry room door. Just come out, okay? You're actually starting to freak me out." The laundry room. My laundry room is right off the kitchen, tucked behind a heavy wooden door. I looked toward my own kitchen. It was pitch black. I told myself it was a coincidence. Every suburban house has a laundry room. I felt a weird urge to go check my own laundry room door, but I stayed in my chair. I sent another text. "Seriously, check the number. You're texting a stranger. Call the police if you think someone is in your house." Almost instantly, the bubbles appeared. She was typing, but then they disappeared, and another voice note popped up. Her voice was trembling now. I could hear her moving, the floorboards creaking under her feet. "Mark, I'm going upstairs. I'm locking myself in the bedroom. Please, if this isn't you, you need to tell me right now." I sat up straight. The floorboards in the recording had a very specific, high-pitched squeak. It sounded exactly like the third step on my staircase. I looked at my phone. My heart started to beat a little faster. This was getting weird. I looked at the unknown number again. It was only one digit off from my own. I decided to call the number. I wanted to end the confusion and make sure she was okay. It rang once, twice, then it went to voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Sarah. Leave a message." I didn't leave a message. I hung up and looked at my darkened hallway. I was suddenly very aware of how quiet the house was. Then my phone vibrated so hard it skated across the desk. A new voice note, 20 seconds. "He's in the house. It's not you. Mark, it's not you. I'm in the master closet. I just heard him walk past the bedroom door. He's heavy. He's wearing boots." In the background of the recording, I heard a sound. It was the distinct, metallic clink of a loose door handle. My bedroom door handle has been loose for 6 months. I've been meaning to tighten the screw, but I never got around to it. Every time you touch it, it makes that exact sound. I froze. I didn't move a muscle. I didn't even want to breathe. I was sitting in my office at the end of the hall. My bedroom was directly across from me. The door was cracked open just an inch. I looked at the gap in the door. It was dark inside. I couldn't see anything. My phone buzzed again. I didn't want to look at it, but I couldn't help myself. It was a photo. The photo was dark and grainy. It was taken from inside a closet, looking through the slats of the closet door. It showed a bedroom. It was my bedroom. I recognized the blue quilt on the bed. I recognized the stack of books on the nightstand. And in the middle of the frame, standing by the bed, was a man. He was tall, wearing a dark hoodie and heavy work boots. He was facing away from the camera, looking at my bed. My stomach dropped. This wasn't a wrong number. This was happening right now. But if she was in the closet taking that photo, and that was my bedroom, where was she? My closet was empty. I had cleaned it out last week for a donation drive. Then the realization hit me like a physical blow. The perspective of the photo wasn't from inside my bedroom closet. The camera was positioned from the hallway, looking into the bedroom. The person taking the photo was standing exactly where I was sitting. I looked down at the photo again. I looked at the timestamp. It said just now. I slowly looked up from my phone. I looked at the dark hallway. My office door began to creak. It was opening wider very slowly. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My throat felt like it was filled with sand. I grabbed my laptop and lunged for the window behind my desk. I didn't care about the height. I unlatched the lock and tumbled out onto the roof of the porch. I scrambled down the shingles and jumped to the grass, twisting my ankle as I landed. I didn't stop. I ran to the middle of the street, screaming for help. Lights began to flick on in the neighbors' houses. Doors opened. Within minutes, the police were there. I sat on the curb, wrapped in a blanket a neighbor had given me. I watched as the officers searched my house with flashlights. After 30 minutes, a sergeant walked over to me. He looked confused. "We searched every inch of the place," he said. "The doors were all locked from the inside. There's no one there. No signs of struggle. No wet footprints. Nothing." I showed him my phone. I showed him the messages, the voice notes, and the photo of the man in my bedroom. He took the phone and scrolled through it. His face went pale. He walked back to his cruiser and stayed there for a long time. When he came back, he didn't look at me. He handed the phone back with a gloved hand. "We tracked the number," he said quietly. And I asked, my voice shaking. "The number belongs to Sarah Miller," he said. "She lived in this house 3 years ago, before you bought it." I felt a chill run down my spine. "So she's still out there? She's harassing me." The sergeant shook his head. "Sarah Miller was murdered in that bedroom 3 years ago," he said. The case is still cold. They never found the guy who did it. I moved out the next day. I didn't even pack most of my things. I just left. I live in a high-rise apartment now. It has a doorman, security cameras, and 3 different locks on the door. I don't stay up late anymore. I try to delete the messages, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Sometimes, I still look at the last photo. I realized something a few months ago that the police missed. Something that haunts me every time I close my eyes. In the photo of the man standing in my bedroom, there is a small vanity mirror on the wall behind him. If you zoom in on the reflection in that mirror, you can see the person holding the phone. It isn't a woman. It's the man in the hoodie, smiling, holding my own phone.